Hey everyone, so this tutorial will walk through both the creation and usage of the teacher and student accounts on the VISAR co-created writing tool. So right now we're going to start from scratch and assume that we don't have anything set up. So we'll click the Don't Have an Account Sign Up button. And for right now, we'll take the role of teacher, so we won't have a class sign-up code, and we'll just say this is a test teacher video. The full name we'll just use test teacher. And for the password, there are some stipulations on this. Whatever it says underneath, just try to follow that and you should be good to go. After you're done with the password, just remember both your username and password because you will need that to re-enter the system. And then you can click sign up. On here, you'll be thrown to the teacher dashboard, which is going to show some statistics based on who is using the system, how many students you have enrolled within your class, the time spent, GPT interactions, etc. For these, you can have multiple classes, but you will need at least one class to see any statistics for the students. And we'll just say this is going to be English 1000. The class number does have to be unique. So if you try to create one like 000 that has already been created, it will give you a warning. It will say something like class number already exists. So we'll just increment that by 1 and then we should be good to go. So right now, this is the only class that we have created and students can use this as the class sign-up code. So again, right now we don't see any statistics, but this is where you'll see the dashboard. So you can either delete or add classes. We'll log out and then we'll use this unique identifier for the student to sign up now. So we'll go back, we'll create a student account, and we'll put that in the class signup code. For this, we'll do test student video, and then we'll give it the name of test student. And then we'll give it the password, same password stipulations apply here. And if this is the first time that you will be going into VISAR, you will be greeted with the tutorial screen. I'm going to walk through the tutorial as this is where you'll be dealing with the most of your interactions throughout this co-creative writing process. So we can get familiar with the editor, familiar with kind of how we're going to be generating the argumentative responses or the writing responses and iterate back and forth. So right now, up in the top is where you'll see most of the menu items that you'll be interacting with. On the left-hand side is your standard editing tools for either undo or redo. You either have bold, italic, underline, etc., or you have kind of the formatting that you want. On the right-hand side, you also have the load and save draft. It does not automatically save, so if you do want to save, you will have to click this and save it as a draft. Now on the right hand side, you'll see this little arrow. It either looks like this or it's going to flip, and you can show or hide the mind map. So one part of this in the editor flow is going to be a visual representation of your writing, and those will be displayed as nodes, and then on the left hand side is going to be the textual representation, and we'll see that in a second. But right now we're just going to kind of follow through, and we will write something here such as the University of Notre Dame is an excellent research institution. So you can either come here and highlight just like this, or you can just highlight via your keystrokes and then click elaborate. So right now it's going to fetch from GPT 4.0 some keywords that it is deemed necessary for this topic sentence that you provided. And right now you can click however many keywords that you want, but for each keyword, it's going to generate some discussion points. So we'll go through, we'll create, we'll select student research opportunities and interdisciplinary research. So now we will have GPT 4.0 go out and create some discussion points for these two keywords. Now for every keyword that you choose, you will have to select at least one discussion point that it generates in order to sketch the content. So right now, you can see this arrow on the right-hand side. This will show the other keyword. Sometimes it likes to hide, so you will have to either use the arrows and then click, or just keep scrolling until you find it and click. So right now we're just using the student research opportunities. I will click the summer research opportunities as a discussion point. And then for the other keyword, we will select this, which is the interdisciplinary research. We'll do the partnerships and collaborations, and then we'll click sketch content. And so now VISAR displays the current visual outline for your review. And then after generating or reviewing and confirming, you can click the generate button, and then VISAR is going to generate a structured text argument within the text editors, which will be on the left-hand side or full screen, depending on what you want. And then you'll see the textual representation for these. So when you get here in the editor flow, you want to make sure your main argument, which is top here, is representative of your main thesis. Your key points are all here, and the discussion points or counter arguments are also present. We'll just click generate right now and go through the further options. Right now, this is going to take a minute. There is no loading indicator, so just trust in the process a little bit. It does take some time because it is generating, and depending on how many keywords and discussion points you want, it will take a little bit of time. So right now, you can also explore the argumentative sparks feature, which is for counter arguments. So right now, we'll choose one of these things and we will go through this. So now you can see it's kind of dulled out a little bit. Whatever you want to hover over will be highlighted so you can see the text a little bit clearer. So for right now, we'll click here, which is the University of Notre Dame's excellence as a research institution is significantly bolstered by, etc., etc. We'll click this, we'll hit argumentative sparks, and then we have three options. For this one, I'm going to walk through the counter arguments portion. So we'll click on the counter arguments. GPT-4o will go out and try and generate some counter arguments. So let's choose the resource allocation challenges, and we will review and sketch from that. So right now we see we're back into the visual editor, so we can see the visual outline for this one. And then again, after we're done confirming, we can click generate, and it will generate this for our argument. So right now we can see in the flow editor, it added this resource allocation challenges, which is attacking the partnerships and collaborations, which was the key point of the interdisciplinary research. So hopefully this will make our argument here and our discussion point a little bit stronger by also suggesting maybe some of the limitations of our claims. So we'll click generate, and we'll wait for that just a little bit. And we see it highlighted in red here. So we can further facilitate the creation and organization of writing outlines. You can do this again visually. So up here in the top right, there's a show mind map. If you show the mind map, there's this little plus icon where you can add a node if you want, and you can visually add it and connect it, and we'll see that in a little bit. But let's try and just modify the text here a little bit. So maybe it's not partnerships and collaborations, but actually what we wanted to add is, let's see, collaborations in industry and other universities. So we're going to be a little bit more specific about what the collaborations were meaning. So right now we can see there's updated text right here. You can regenerate it if you want, or you can click replace within the text editor. You can also examine and update the dependent nodes. So what happens here is there's a discussion point, but if you look later on, then it's going to go to this counter argument. So you can go and click the next dependent, which will go over here, and then you can either regenerate text or you can replace the text with something else to make sure that the logical argument walkthrough is still making sense for the changes that you created. So maybe now we have this over-reliance on external partnerships and we can generate the text on this one. So it's going to generate the text, and then we'll update the text in the document as well on the left-hand side. And we'll say replace text. So text have been updated here. So if we can see on the, and that's essentially the full tutorial, by the way. I'm going to show you a couple more things, but then we'll wrap it up really quick. So on the left-hand side, this is how it was changed, the counter argument, by what we changed here. We saw that it was a little bit smaller and maybe we wanted to add something else. So you can edit things over on the logical flow, so the visual editor over here, and it will be displayed on the left-hand side. So one thing that I want to comment on is if you want to add a node here and you want to add another discussion point, you can just click this add node feature. We can click and drag, and maybe it's summer research opportunities, but there's probably other things. So student research opportunities, maybe co-writing papers, papers with grad students. Maybe that's another opportunity for students. And that is going to be perceived as an argument right now, and we don't want that, so we want to attach that. So all I did was click and drag from the bottom of the keyword all the way down to here, which is now a discussion point, and we'll regenerate that. And we will add that text to our editor. So now if we can see on the left-hand side, we have this whole other paragraph that was generated based on our discussion point that we added visually. And if you want to add things, you definitely can over here. So if you still want to type or things like that, the best way to do that is probably to edit and then direct edit within this. So if you want to get rid of, let's say this is from hypothesis formulation to data analysis and publication, maybe we want to remove from formulation to writing and publication. Rather than regenerating the entire thing or anything like that, you can just directly edit through that. The last thing I would say is probably save draft. If you want to save as new draft, or if you want to update the draft, that's another option as well, but we'll just say this is draft number 1, and it should save. If there are any other questions and you're having some issues, there is the tutorial that will start again if you click the help. This will walk through the tutorial again, just kind of give you a brief overview of what I discussed, as well as what we saw visually, and hopefully that will spark a little bit of a reminder for how to engage and interact with this system. As always, if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always reach out to the Sandwich Lab and we'd be happy to help you as best as we can. Thank you.